Morning, everybody. So, as we are getting close to our departure from Split for Dubrovnik, the title of this morning's lecture is The Jews of Dubrovnik. Oh, hvala. Gdje se pali? Is it better? Okay. Is it better with the microphone? I suppose it is. Okay. So you remember, many people in the bus asked why Dubrovnik is called Dubrovnik in Serbo-Croatian and Ragusa in Italian, for example. So, the meaning is quite similar, but these are two different languages. Dub is a type of a tree, oak or something like that. Yeah, oak. There is such a word, right, in English? Yes. I didn't make it up. Okay. So it's Dub is oak, and then Dubrava is oak wood. And then the city was below a mountain which was entire covered by wood. And that's where from it received its Slavic name. Now, Ragusa is a Greek name, and basically, as you can see here from the first sentence, from founding up to 1204, Dubrovnik was mainly under Byzantine rule. So it also had a Byzantine name, which was Italianized, right? So it means cliff, and the city is, as I said, on a cliff below that mountain which was covered with wood. So in any case, it's a pearl. They call it crack of the Balkans and so on, and it's Plato's wet dream. Sorry for my English, because the city was closed with city walls in such a way, in such a time, they didn't leave any place for new buildings to be built within the city walls. So basically that means the city could not expand. The state of Dubrovnik could expand, but the city of Dubrovnik could not expand. That meant that all the citizens could not get their children, all of their children married. Only one son, because the guys were providing housing, right? So only one son in the family could get married with any of the girls offered in the city, and all his brothers would go to a convent. Why? Because there was no place for new houses. So the city was basically, that's why I said it was Plato's wet dream, because the city actually had the same families living in same houses, having same family names, and many a time the same names also, like the father is Anthony and his son is Anthony and the grandson is Anthony. So it's the same name and the same second name on the same place. Okay. And then as you enter the city, on the very entrance were two big monasteries. On the left side, the Franciscans, and on the Franciscans males. And on the right side, the female monastery of Santa Clara. So the sisters who belong to that monastery are called Clarissas, just like the men who belong to the other one are called Franciscans. And these monasteries were full, and then there were other monasteries in the city, because every family provided one or two or three sons for the monasteries, and then all the daughters who got married would also end up in monasteries, which was better than living with your brother and his wife. Right. So, in the period that followed, from 1204 to 1358, it was ruled by Venice. So it's only, unlike Croatian Kost, basically from after Dubrovnik all the way up to the north, which was ruled by Venetians for almost 500 years. It was like from 400 years. Basically, Split, for example, from 1420 to 1880, Napoleon Wars, right? So, Dubrovnik was ruled by Romanians only for 150 years. It was under the sovereignty of the Hungarian crown as its tributary, but later when the Hungarians became part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Dubrovnik didn't pay tributes anymore to Hungary. But from 1458, the tribute was paid also to the Ottoman Empire. Okay, so the Ottomans didn't consider Dubrovnik as a traditional bazaar and allowed the Republic a high level of freedom. Namely, the Ottomans primarily needed Dubrovnik's commercial skills and its neutral port and so on. So basically, the people of Dubrovnik were paying their freedom to Sultan. And Sultan paid attention that he's making more, or understood that he's making more money that way than if the city was to be run by the Ottomans themselves. So, Dubrovnik was an aristocratic republic. What does that mean, aristocratic republic? Either you are aristocrat, either you are, you know, like in the Spanish War, either you are monarchist and aristocracy and everything, or you are republican. Well, it was a republic because all the aristocrats had the right to choose and to be chosen. But it's aristocratic republic because people who were not the aristocrats didn't have the same rights. Now, interestingly enough, they had a senate for most important political decisions. They had the minor council of the senate. So, senate is basically all the aristocrats. Then, just like Knesset and the government, right? The parliament and the government. So the parliament is a bigger body, but then it has its own executive body called government. So the Senate of Dubrovnik had its own executive body called minor council. And then there was a major council as a legislative body and the body of all adult male participants. Now, there are 12 members of the lesser or minor council. Each one is the head of the council for a month. During that month, he can't leave the palace. So he is deprived of his family life, and he lives in the palace only. But this is only for a month. And this is the palace. Yes, it's a beautiful one. This is the inside of the palace. Now here you can see basically when we talk about the state of Dubrovnik, it didn't contain only the city of Dubrovnik. This is Bosnia and Herzegovina, right? So you know that Bosnia and Herzegovina looks like a slice of pizza. So the spitz of that pizza comes out to the sea, right? So Croatia then has miscontinuation. Croatia goes up to now, today, and then after now it continues, right? So what happens is, that's exactly why you need your passports today. You are going from Croatia to Croatia through Bosnia and Herzegovina, so you will be actually crossing 3 borders. You will be leaving Croatia, entering Bosnia, leaving Bosnia, and re-entering Croatia. Now, what's here painted with brown is the territory of the state of Dubrovnik when it was on its peak. So it included also the islands of Bled and Lastovo, the peninsula of Pelješac, and this entire area over here, which is called Konavle. Right. So this is the coat of arms of Dubrovnik, and in the mid-15th century, Dubrovnik witnessed the arrival of a small number of Jewish merchants, mainly from Durrës or Drač in Albania, Vlore, which is also in Albania, Lecce, and coral hunters in the southern France. It seems that the Jews were then living in the area called Giudecca, which comes from Italian word Judeo, right? So Judaica would be the Jewish border, right? It's located in the eastern suburb of Ploče, which means outside the city walls. So the first Jews were not allowed to live within the city walls. Mentioned from this period are also a few physicians, Samuel, Elias Abati, Moshe Mario, and so on. Now, here is, for example, the state of Dubrovnik has beautiful archives, and there is plenty of cases of Jews against Jews, Jews against non-Jews, non-Jews against Jews, and you can really learn a lot about what was going on in the community. And basically, 1/3 of the cases involving Jews are Jewish internal matters, which is kind of unusual, because usually Jews prefer to settle their own matters between themselves. And here they are turning for external help in cases such as keeping the order of the prayers, keeping the order of the synagogue, and so on. Even for those things, they would turn to the council of the city of Dubrovnik. So, for example, this is one case, and here you see who is a plaintiff and who is defendant, and so on. Okay. Now, as I said previously, the Duke, or in English they call him Rector, I don't know really why. He was the head of the small council, and he stayed in power for a single month. During that month he could not leave the premises, and he was the keeper, just like in the Holy Sepulchre, but the other way around, in Jerusalem, right? So during the night he would keep the keys to the city, and then every morning there was a protocolary ceremony, or protocol ceremony, in which he would give the keys back to the people. Okay, so this is the synagogue. Now, as you can see, being the fact, yes, so it is. Jews were not allowed to own buildings. So obviously they could not build a synagogue. So the council gave them, to their disposition, they gave them a street. The Jews were paying for the houses in that street. So one of the apartments they converted into a synagogue. Now, when we get to Dubrovnik, you will see that unlike Split, which had its ghetto, but almost never all of the Jews lived in the ghetto, and most of the time the ghetto was not closed. There were three gates to the ghetto of Split, but many Jews lived outside. At one certain point, when the government tried to implement the law and to have all the Jews live in Split, the feelings of the families living outside of the ghetto area were hurt, and they left Split in a demonstrative way, and so on. So because in Split they were used to bigger liberties. Now in Dubrovnik, the street was closed from both sides, so Jews were treated, how do you say trees? How do you say trees in English? Trees. Yeah. So they were used like, yeah. Shutters. Blinders, windows blinders, yes. So, during the night, you put them down because you need them. And then in the morning, and they are back and you don't see them and they don't annoy you. So, the economy of Dubrovnik needed the Jews during the day, but nobody wanted to see them during the night. So, that's why I call it like a blinder, like a window blinder, right? Once you don't need it, and it's back to its house, and nobody sees it, nobody smells it, nobody, whatever. So, not only the ghetto was closed on both sides, in certain periods Jews were not even allowed to leave their houses after the sunset, within the ghetto. So Jews are Jewish, right? So they mended it. They made balconies. the street was narrow anyways. Now when you make a balcony from this side, balcony from that side, that's actually a bridge. So everybody could cross to anybody's house, and then from one house you could cross. Basically you could move in the ghetto not on the street, but via the balconies. So, this is the synagogue, and we'll actually get there, and we will say everything we need to say on the spot itself, and we will point to different things. And Shalom will explain us what's so special about this small synagogue, but I'm telling you from the beginning not to have high expectations, space wisely. I remember I was there as a kid, and then a group of American Jews came, and one guy enters and he says, "Wow, this is so beautiful. Where's the synagogue?" Because this looks like an exhibition to American Jews, the synagogues of 3,500 places, or whatever. This is the synagogue with enumerated places. Everybody knew exactly his own place. The community was very tiny. It was 120 people, 180 people, 200 people, 220, 180, and so on. So it's a small community. So let's say 200. Out of them, probably 120 are kids, and then 40 are grannies, and then other 40 are ladies, and 40 are grown males. So it's the synagogue which can host, and not everybody is praying all the time, right? So it's a synagogue which can host 30, 40 people, right? Now, yeah, you can see it from here. Here I want to point something. We'll tell you the story later. But I want you to actually hear the story a few times so that you can really remember it. These were windows to Azarat Nashim. Now, Azarat Nashim was not really Azarat Nashim. Azarat Nashim was a family house. So during the Shabbat services, ladies in the city, in the community who were interested in following the service would visit that family and sit there with the lady of the house, drink coffee, and look through the window. So these were basically the windows to the Tolentino family, one of the famous families in Dubrovnik. Any ideas where they come from originally? From Toledo, but their name was not Toledano, but Tolentino, which is Italianized version of Toledano. So, with the fascists taking over the synagogue was sealed from outside. Fortunately, they didn't know that there was a way to enter the synagogue without entering through the main door. So the Tolentino family, basically, after the synagogue was sealed, the Tolentino family removed these windows. They came into the synagogue, they took out Sifrei Torah and all the artifacts which are preserved even today in the museum of the community of Dubrovnik, and then they were hidden someplace in Dubrovnik. They say, I don't know, this is kind of urban legend, they say that there is only one of the original Dubrovnik aristocratic families still living in the city. All other families died out. Now the Tolentino family, obviously Jews were not aristocratic in this universe, but Tolentino family is one of the oldest. And being the fact that they had this custom of aristocrat, they had a procession during the patron saint of the city. So he's called Saint Vlaho or Saint Valachius, and the ceremony is first goes the cross, and after him the representatives of the church, and then the aristocratic family, and then everybody else. Aristocratic families, and then everybody else. Now the Tolentinos were not really aristocratic, they were one of the oldest, but they were not really Christian, and they didn't really like the idea of walking behind the cross. So the urban legend, but I never saw it because whatever, I was a kid when they died. But they say that the procession in Dubrovnik started with Tolentinos in front of the cross, and then the cross and then the aristocratic families, which at the moment were two, and then everybody else. So the Tolentinos were coming in front of the cross. Now here you can see the Tolentino family, right? Jacob and Flora, and you can see, well, I believe I already told you this when we were in Sarajevo. The guy doesn't have anything on his head, right? There were no kippot over here. His wife has traditional head covering for a married woman, which is called tucado or tocado, right? So this is tucado or tocado. You can see, by the way of dressing, you can also see you can see which communities make for one unit, right? So here we are in Dubrovnik, but she is dressed as Bosnian Sephardic woman, and she is wearing typical Bosnian tucado. Right? Okay. So these are their children. Few of them: Moshe, Rena, Simcha, and Pepica. Only 4. They had 10 children. Yes. So Flora and Jacob had 10 children. Here you have all the names. And these are the survivors which became icon of the Jewish community of Dubrovnik. 2 brothers and a sister, right? So we had the names over here. So out of these 10, it was Abramin and Emilio. Right? So Emilio was the rabbi of the community, but not because he was very versed in Torah and very learned, but because he was the best amongst the survivors. So I have a notebook. He wrote to the rabbi of Sarajevo, Hamri Menachem Romano, asking him to send him perfect pronunciation of Shabbat prayers in Latin script. He did read it in Hebrew in the synagogue, but he wanted to check. Right? So first he learned by heart, and then he read it from Hebrew. And this is their sister Flora. The picture is taken basically in the Jewish community of Dubrovnik, and these 3 were really emblematic of the city and of...
What year roughly is that?
What year? The picture was taken 1980, something like that, and later they died. You can see here, Emilio died in 82, Abramin in 84, and Regina in 86. Okay, now where is our English reader? Yeah, you asked me about the famous rabbis in this area. I'm bringing only the top of the top. Obviously, we are not going to go through the 500 years or 600 years of the Jewish presence in Dubrovnik and to name all the rabbis who function there. But we are mentioning those who eternalize their lives through writing a book, which is such a Jewish thing to do. So the first to be mentioned is Rabbi Aaron ben David HaKohen of Ragusa. And even more important, his maternal grandfather, Rabbi Shlomo Ohev, he was also the rabbi of the same city. Now, Aaron studied in his native city and later in Venice, which means he studied under his grandfather in Dubrovnik, and later he was sent to Venice. So basically, Dubrovnik had ménage à trois. Ménage à trois with Venice and Sarajevo. And until 18th century, it was Venice who was Rachel and Sarajevo was Leah. And then from 18th century onwards, the relationship between Dubrovnik and Sarajevo goes and becomes more powerful. And the relation with Venetia being the fact that the people of Dubrovnik hated Venetia, and they were competing, Venetia and Dubrovnik, and then split was under Venetia, and so on. So the Jews also severed their ties with Venetia because they didn't want it to be seen as fifth column. So consequently, they developed much deeper relations with Sarajevo. So basically, there are some families which are typical of Dubrovnik, and there are many, but there, on the other side there are also many Sephardic families which came from Bosnia to Dubrovnik. Because if you were a businessman and you were not born in the place like Sarajevo, so you didn't really have a reason not to ever want to move, you would have one son in Dubrovnik and your brother's son in Split. And so everything would still stay in the family, and you could not, I mean you could, and we have plenty of Uchuvot of people quarreling about merchandise. Whose is this and whose is this? But generally people preferred to keep it within the family. So many families would have one son in Dubrovnik, one son in Split, or something like that. Okay, so back to the rabbi. Once he returned to occupy Pulpit Ragusa, in 1623, you remember I told you how Yeshurun is called Maaseh Yeshurun in Hebrew. He was imprisoned as supposed accomplice of Yitzhak Yeshurun, who had been falsely accused of ritual murder. Rabbi Aharon's servants, called Zekan Aharon, together with his grandfather's servants, Shemen Hatov, the good oil, together with the history of the martyr, but I don't know why they use here the word martyr, because the guy survived, of the torturing of Yitzhak Yeshurun, and the miracle by which he survived the torturing. They are all mentioned in that book. The story is wrote by the end of the book, and it's called Maaseh Yeshurun. And here you can see the first page, right? Shemen Hatov, that's grandfather's work. Al Harosh Red Al Zekan Aharon, this is the grandson's work, right? So these are basically the Rashot from both of them. Anybody can just download the book, it's a Hebrew book. These guys are doing a terrific job. 60-70% of everything that was ever printed in Hebrew letters is already online. So you just go to HebrewBooks.org, and then you can download this book. Look for it not under the name of Rabbi Shlomo Ohev, but rather under the name of Aharon HaKohen, or simply Zekan Aharon. Okay, and then you can find, in that book you can also find the entire history of the Alilat Dam, of the blood label that happened in Dubrovnik.
Is that the Purim of Ragusa story?
That's the Purim of Ragusa story, yes. So it's actually described into detail in this book. And we also have external sources, because State of Dubrovnik had Tatal archives, and the entire story is preserved there. It's very interesting to compare the way the Jews remember the story and the way the Christians remember the story. Now, the most prolific rabbi of everything, I mean everything you saw, because he served as a rabbi for a time in Split, he served as a rabbi for a time in Dubrovnik, and then he served as a Chacham Bashi, the chief rabbi of Sarajevo and entire Bosnia, is Radaf, Rabbi David Pardo. Here they say that he was born at Venice, but that's not sure. What we know for sure is that his father, Yaakov, was from Ragusa. And the family had branches in Sarajevo also. So we don't really know for sure whether he was born in Venice, or in Sarajevo, or in Dubrovnik, but he was born in the area. Now, his father, Rabbi Yaakov, passed away, and this was a rabbinical family. But in such a small city, without no other great rabbi at the moment, he might turn on Haaretz. So his father's friend, Rabbi Yaakov Belilius from the school of Venice, from the great yeshiva in Venice, sends a letter, and he says, I want him aboard. I'm giving him full scholarship. He can stay at my place. Okay, and then he moves from Ragusa to Venice. He finishes his learning in Venice, and now he's coming back to serve local communities. So he's trying his luck in Dubrovnik, then he's trying his luck in Split, then he goes to Belgrade to try, and finally he returns to Dubrovnik. He serves here as a rabbi and then his name becomes great, and then big community like Sarajevo says, no, we want you, and he really moves to Sarajevo. And this is when, we already spoke about this is when Sarajevo develops into the major center of Jewish learning, and then onwards, all the rabbis in the area were actually his pupils, and the pupils of their pupils, and so on. So he had three sons, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Abraham moved with him. Well, now it goes the other way around. You would expect Abraham to be the oldest because you would give them in chronological order, but no. His father was Yaakov, so his firstborn was Yaakov. Then his secondborn was Yitzhak, and then the last one was Abraham. Now, this Abraham left Bosnia with his father and moved to Israel, and there he got married with the daughter of the Hida, Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azurai. So all these Sephardic dynasties were actually also intermarried, and they were very careful not to marry with commoners. They were getting married only within the enlightened or learned ones. Okay, so in any case, you can see here, after finishing his studies, Pardo left Venice, went to Ragusa. He then lived for some years in Sarajevo. From Sarajevo he went to Spalato. After the death of Papo's successor, Yitzhak Tzedakah, Pardo was elected chief rabbi of the city, and so on. Among his disciples are Rabbi Shabbatai ben Tura, who later was the chief rabbi of Split. Rabbi Yaakov Pardo, who is his firstborn, who was the chief rabbi of Dubrovnik. Rabbi Yitzhak Pardo, his secondborn, who was a chief rabbi of Sarajevo, right? We will see some of the books, but most of the works of Rabbi David Pardo, Radaf, can be downloaded from Hebrew books. So he has a book of Shelot Tshuvot, Michtav David, and in that book you can see many cases from Dubrovnik and from Split and from Sarajevo. Most of them are from Sarajevo. So whoever is interested in unpublished Jewish history, because people who wrote Jewish history in these parts were not Jewish. So they were in love with the subject, and until this very day, this is the way it functions. There is an expert on Jewish matters in Dubrovnik called Vesna Mijovic, and she keeps publishing books on Jews like Woman in the Ghetto of Dubrovnik, or the Jews of Republic of Dubrovnik, and so on, but she doesn't command Hebrew, which means that entire her research is based only on Gentile sources, which are valuable, and that's certainly a good thing to do, but what we are missing is the Jewish part of the story. All of this can be found in Shelot Tshuvot by local rabbis, which are untouched upon by the research, unfortunately. Now, Rabbi David Pardo instituted in the area the Italian way of learning. And we can see it from his Shelot Tshuvot. He was keen on developing intellectual integrity. So when a She'ela would come to him, he would give it to one. He called them Gurim. Gurim is the young lion, right? So he would give it to one of his sons or to one of his pupils, and he would tell him, please answer what you think. So the guy would answer. So he would take the question and the answer, he would give it to another guy, to another of his sons and pupils, and he would say, can you please read the She'ela, read the Teshuvah, and give your comments on the teshuvah and actually your answer to the sheva. And then he would give it to the third guy. And then, and all of this is written down. And then finally he would consult the arguments of all of them, and he would come with his own opinion. And this was the way he was teaching them how to develop into leaders of, I mean, if you think of it, today, the number of the native Hebrew speakers was never bigger in Jewish history. And never ever in Jewish history there was a higher number of people who learned Torah. And never ever in Jewish history this was more meaningless than today. Because most of these people are just repeating and repeating and repeating. They are not developed into independent intellectuals with integrity. They are expected to follow the line of the party, the line of the movement, the line of this, the line of that. And then you basically, now in Sanhedrin times, let's say we are voting. So I say, let's kill this guy. And you say, I agree. So do we now have 2 votes? No, we have 1, because you just agreed. It's not a vote. It's not a voice. If you did give another time or another interpretation why he should be killed, then we have 2 opinions in support, or 2 voices in support. But all the way you just agree, you are not even counted. So what I'm trying to say is that most of the learners today, most of the people who learn, are not even counted because they never developed an opinion. Now this guy was developing opinion between his pupils in a way where they couldn't hide, because he never said the key things. He would have them say what they think, and then he would not attack them immediately. He would have them comment on each other's work. So it's a really beautiful way of learning. Now he also engaged in hypothetical questions, which is atypical of Sephardic yeshivot, and this is because he came from an Italian yeshiva. So I'll just give you the story because it's a beautiful one. In the responsa of his pupil, Rabbi Abraham Penso, the guy who published Chasdei David, which is the Rabbi David Pardo's main work, his commentary on Tosefta. So this guy, Rabbi Penso, is asked a question. There was a guy, it was 2 of us Jewish merchants traveling together, and the third guy joined us, and he spoke to us Jewish, which means in Spanish. And then we sat to eat, and he ate with us. And then he did zimun, and he blessed, and we said Amen, and then he converted into a horse. A horse. And now we have a question. Are we Yotzei Yedei Chova by his blessings? The question is basically, is he in Cheskat Adam? Is he, how do you say Cheskat? Is he considered to be male, or he is considered to be horse? Which of his 2 identities is the one that decides? And then, if he is a male, can we consider him to be Jewish male? And did he accomplish a Chovah by repeating Amen after his blessings? And if he didn't, were we supposed to say Birkat Hamazon immediately on the spot? And if he didn't, what was the furthest distance to which we could travel? And if he crossed that distance, did we have to return? And to each point we were supposed to return to the place itself, or only to some certain, right? And what was the time framework within which we were supposed to repeat it, if we were supposed to repeat it anyways? And were we supposed to repeat all 4 blessings? Right? Because 3 of them are Midoraita, 1 is Midoraita and 3 are Midorabanan, right? So, the rabbi starts his answer by saying, it is not a typical event which we find happening on a daily basis. However, though, maybe on the other side of the sea. In any case, this is Torah, and we have to answer. And then you have 20 pages of elaborated answers, what you do in your life if a person who just did zimun for you converts into a horse. So, this was, and it is obviously that this is humoristic, but when you check, the quotes are real. Whatever they are quoting in support of their humoristic dealings, this is the way he was trying to sharpen their minds, right? And okay, so he has a book called Maskila David that is a commentary on complicated places in Babylonian Talmud. He has a commentary on Rashi. That's a very Jewish thing to do. He has a commentary on Rashi's commentary on Torah. He commented a commentary, right? Okay. So, sorry. Lamnatzeach David is the heavy places or hard places in Talmud, right? So, his son and his grave we will see in Dubrovnik, Rabbi Yaakov ben David Pardo. He wrote a commentary to Nevi'im, which also is not extremely usual thing to do. He also wrote a commentary. Minhat Aaron is basically his commentary of the book of the previous rabbi we mentioned, right? Shlomo Ohev and Rabbi Aharon HaKohen of Ragusa. So Minhat Aaron is on that. Okay. So Keilat Yaakov is his commentary on earlier prophets, and he also wrote the book Marpeh Lashon, which contains certain prayers and certain piyutim. Amongst the others, his own piyut. His father was a poet, and he was a poet, and his father also wrote poetry in Aramaic. Now, Rabbi Yaakov Pardo wrote this Tehillah Haaretz, which is about the earthquake of Dubrovnik, and it can be found in his Marpeh Lashon. Most of the books are available online. Now, here you have another Yaakov Pardo. Now, the thing is, in Sephardic families, I don't know if I told you this, but every firstborn is called after his father's father. Every secondborn is called after his mother's father. The firstborn girl is called after her father's mother. The secondborn girl is called after mother's mother. And then the male firstborn had always the same nickname. He was called Bochor or Buki. And the firstborn female was called Buka or Bukitza. Now, this meant that everybody in the community needed nicknames, right? And you see how complicated it gets, because if you have rabbis, and they are writing books, and they are all called by the same names. So it's Rabbi Yaakov ben David Pardo, Rabbi David ben Yaakov Pardo, Rabbi Yaakov ben David ben Yaakov Pardo, Rabbi Yaakov ben David ben Yaakov ben David Pardo, Rabbi David ben Yaakov ben David ben Yaakov ben David ben Yaakov Pardo. So here you have another Yaakov Pardo. He wrote a commentary on the prophet Micha when he was only 18 years old. That one also can be downloaded. So it would be nice if you consulted all these books. And so these are now the books of Rabbi Yaakov Pardo, right? So you can see Vateri Reshit Melachto Po Ragusa Yishmor Aleha Elohim. But the book was printed in Venice. Okay? There is, it also they were also very concerned with Tikkun Shovavim, so we see that in every generation they are writing something about it. This is his book, Apezopre. Again, you can see, right, you can see his name, Yaakov, and the name of his father, Kevod Morenu Ve'Rabenu Harav Rabbi David Pardo Zichrono Lechayei Ha'olam Haba. Right? And again, the book is printed in Venice, and it has even the kosher stamp of the Inquisition. Con licenziale superiori, with the license, with the okay, yeah, with the license of superiors. This is his book Minhat Aharon, the commentary on Rabbi Shlomo Ohev and Rabbi Aharon HaKohen. And this is his commentary on early prophets, Nevi'im Rishonim, Kehilat Yaakov, right? So you can see that it is, you can see again, Av Bet Din, Verosh Vetivta, and it's everything abbreviations. Can you see it? Okay. Harav Hagadol, Maoz Umigdol, Hadayan Hametsuyan Be'Israel, Gadol Shemo, Kevod Gorenu Verabenu Harav Ribi, Yaakov Pardo. I can't remember what's abbreviation Nun Resh Vav, Nucho, something I don't know. Av Bet Din, Ve Rosh Metivta, the head of the yeshiva, Umore Tzedek, Bekeila Kedosha Raguza, Yishmor Aleha Elohim. Right? And he is the son of famous David Pardo, and the book is based on Pardes. Pardes orchard is taken in Hebrew as Rashi Tevot for Peshat, Derash, Remez, and Sod. Peshat is the plain meaning of the Torah. Derash is no, it's not commentary. It's more complicated than that. You have Derash is when you extract meaning or you base meaning on the pasuk. Remez is when you take the pasuk as allusion to something. And Sod is when you offer internal, mystical, esoteric, right? Not exoteric, but esoteric interpretation. Now they say that's one beautiful drasha. You know that Ashkenazim say that you cannot learn Kabbalah unless you are 40 years old and you are already learned in other aspects of law and you are married and settled and so on. More or less, under the Ashkenazi tradition, people who can learn Kabbalah are the same people who can visit the mosque in Jerusalem under the Israeli law for the Muslims, right? They have to be married, they have to be of a certain age, and so on. So, Sephardim can start learning Kabbalah whenever they wish, and one of the beautiful interpretations of this is why the Sephardim are called Sephardim, because they put Samech in front of Pshat, Remez, and Rash. So Sepharad is interpreted as the way of looking at Judaism, which starts with esoteric, moves on to plain meaning, and from there to ethical and allegorical interpretation. Ethical and allegorical interpretation. The Rash and Remez. Now, here you can see the community was small. So basically, when you look the lists, the losses seem to be small. This is the list that commemorates the members of the Jewish community of Dubrovnik. Now, as you can see, Ele Hashemot Shel Metenu Al Kedush Hashem Bishnat Tarshin Aleph Tarshin Dalet, right? And then you have the names in Hebrew, here, here, and here you have them in Latin script. And you can see that by this time, there were many Ashkenazi Jews living in Dubrovnik. You can see from the names, right? Baruch Salomon, Sephardic. Tolentino Moshe, Sephardic. But then Werner, Yosef, Ashkenazi. Mandolfo Alfredo, Italian. Valentin Angelo, Italian local. As I said, the community of Dubrovnik had, just like community of Split, 4 types of Jews. Right? Levantini, Polentini, and Tedeschi, and locals in Italy. It really means Romagnotti, and here it means the Romagnotti Jews who moved from Italy to Dubrovnik. Okay? But you can see some typical Ashkenazi names like Spitzer, like Wallach, like Reis, like Neumann, like Klein. shrines again, Fuchs, and so on. How this came to happen? Well, Dubrovnik lost its independence to Napoleon. Then later it became part of Austro-Hungarian Empire. And when it became a part of Austro-Hungarian Empire, Austro-Hungarian Jews, the same way they came to Bosnia. When Bosnia became part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, they came to Dubrovnik when it became part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So, yeah. Now, the story of Purim de Ragusa, to the best of my knowledge, is not translated. It was published in modern Hebrew once in Haaretz, so whoever reads, it's very complicated to read it in the books Tekan Aharon, unless you are versed in Jewish learning. Why? Because it's a book written in Venice, in Russian script, and the font is very, very small, and there is no really separation between the letters, so it's complicated. But that story was published in square letters in Haaretz, and I do have it. So if anybody wants me, I can send it out to you. And then there are other books from the famous Chachamim on this list, which are not on Hebrew books. So if you want, I can send them to you. Basically what I will do, I think it's the easiest way. I will do a Dropbox folder. I will put in that Dropbox folder all these PowerPoint presentations, all my PowerPoint presentations, together with all the books. And then whatever you like, you can take. If you don't like it, you just don't take it and don't open it. Now, presently, there are 11 Jews living in Dubrovnik. 11, yes.
Wow.
And yes, and they are divided into one neutral family and two fighting families. So it's it's a very Jewish story, but that we'll see once we get there. Are there any questions concerning this particular lecture or any of the previous lectures? Because this is my last lecture. Following two lectures are by Shabbat, tomorrow morning and the day after tomorrow. So if you have any question concerning whatever we said about Sarajevo or Dubrovnik or Split, this is the time. Yes?
The era of David Pardo, of what years are we talking about?
Well, we had it over there. It's 17 something.
Oh.
17 something. I'm not good with years. Here it is. Born in 1719, died in 1792.
And he had descendants, but no more.
He had what?
Descendants. In other words, children, grandchildren.
Of course.
But nobody is left? Is there any?
Nobody is left in this area, but there are some people in Jerusalem and
But not in...
Not here anymore. Not here anymore, no. And as I said, he died in Jerusalem. And his grave is on Olive Mountain. And his son, Jacob Pater, is buried in Dubrovnik, and we are supposed to see it today. And he's one of the very, very, very few famous local rabbis which are buried here. Usually, they went to Israel and they were buried there. Yes?
What was the size of the Jewish community before the war in Dubrovnik?
200.
Before the war.
Before the war. It's a very small community.
Which war?
Second war. Second war.
Well, the Civil War.
Yeah. Okay. Additional questions? Well, if not, thank you. And Debbie, announcement. What do we need to do now? We need to point to our